Welcome, everybody, to the American Space Museum. I'm Mark Marquette, and so glad you're with us to stay curious. And staying curious with you today with Tales from the White Room is none other than Triple T,
Hey.
Travis Todd Thompson. How you doing, buddy?
Great, Mark. Love it here.
Well, I know you love it here, and we love you being here. And
Yeah.
but I may love it here more than you. I don't know. We'll want to arm wrestle about that because we both love space history. But
Yeah.
I'm just a sideline participant. Travis, for 30 years, was involved on the pads of the shuttles 39A and B, and he ended up being the lead of the astronaut closeout crew. Handed the wand, so to speak, the baton from
Right.
the great Gunter Wendt, the man who actually developed the white
Yeah.
room techniques and so
He
forth,
was the
was your
man.
mentor. And we're all glad that you're with us. And we've been talking to Travis for about a half a year, some of these stories. And you can find some of them on YouTube and Twitch and Facebook is where we're broadcasting on our platforms. So we're so close on our YouTube to getting 1,000 followers. So please like, share, subscribe, follow. Any way you can to get our numbers up there. It's important for our nonprofit to financially gain by having bigger numbers on there. And we're about at 9,000 on Facebook and need 10,000 to financially monetize our nonprofit on that. We don't want to be the biggest, or we just want to be the best in your mind where our lane is. We know where our lane is, don't we?
You know what?
We don't want to be anything much bigger than we are, but we do need to reach out. We love you, loving our Stay Curious program. And we got a good program together for you today. Travis, we've had an unbelievable, since July, regular civilians going to space left and right. And we've got to, a little
Rotate.
technical thing here before I get wound up. What do you need?
Rotate.
Rotate the microphone there a little bit, okay?
I thought it was that.
All right.
Point him up.
And we're going to point it up there. All
Beautiful.
right.
Excellent.
Ironing out a few bugs, but not many, thanks to Jessica Galloway, who's been our Trekkie techie behind the scenes, taking us to a new level with these beautiful graphics.
Yep.
And of course, Marty Winkle, my friend and co-producer, is behind the board today.
Behind the board.
And Marty and I started this in March 2020 as a way to reach out and let our supporters of our beautiful nonprofit know we were not going to let the pandemic make us lay down.
Great idea.
And so we're glad that you're enjoying the Stay Curious program today. We've got a bunch of stuff for you today, and I was winding up talking about Travis, all of these regular civilians going to space. Okay, we just had William Shatner suborbital flight. Of course, I'm really impressed by the Inspiration 4 and its 3-day mission in that SpaceX Crew Dragon, and hopefully we'll get to see some great videos of that. Netflix owns all that, and I don't. I'm not a Netflix person, but
Me neither.
hopefully see some of that. But if you didn't know out there in Stay Curious Land, at noon today, little after 12 o'clock here Eastern Daylight Time, 3 more Chinese takonauts were launched into space, and they are now about to dock with their Tiangong space station that's only been up there for about 6 months.
Yeah.
One crew's always been up there and rotated out. These 3 are going up there right now, and it includes the center guy. I'm going to butcher his name. We'll just call him Zai Zhanggang. He's 55. He's the commander. He waited 13 years for this mission.
Wow.
He was on Shenzhou 7 13 years ago, and he's the commander at age 55. The lady is Wang Yaping. She's 41. This is her second flight. She's the first Chinese woman to go to space for the second time. She's going to become the first Chinese female to do a spacewalk.
Oh, wow.
In a couple weeks.
That's cool.
And then the guy on the left is the rookie. He's 41. His name's Yi Ganggong. So they are very ambitious with building their space station. This is a construction mission to make it bigger. Right now they got about 2 tubular modules connected end to end, and they're going to tee off of that and build a big space station over time. And this is the second trip up there. And this, Travis, makes 13 human beings are circling the Earth as we speak right now.
Yes, sir.
Right now.
Wow.
And so we got that 3 because on the International Space Station,
Does that make it the most at once?
no. No. That's a good question.
Yeah.
The most at once, I think, was close to, Marty, help me there, 17? I think 17 was actually a number that was up there. We had something like 13. And anyway, we'll research that later so we don't make fools of ourselves. But I don't think it's a record. But 13, come on.
That's
And
still,
this,
that's
and,
pretty
and
good.
this is what 90-year-old William Shatner was all about. This is what we've been waiting for: is to go to space
Yeah.
and make it affordable. And these people that are going up right now as citizens are much like the first
Pretty cool.
passengers on America's airlines that were cloth-covered wings in 1930, okay,
Yeah.
pushing the envelope there. But here we have the 3 Russians that were launched to space October 15th, 10
Right.
days ago. Haven't heard a word about them, and I spent about 20 minutes Googling to try to find out. Has this young lady on the left, a Russian actress? She is up there doing a movie where she's the surgeon performing surgery on her director, who's on the far right.
I didn't hear that.
He's the director of this movie. And in the center is a true cosmonaut. And Travis, how can you tell whether it's a real cosmonaut or
Look
not?
at that chest, all those.
Well,
Mach-
you see that 500,
Oh, yeah.
Mach 500 patch up there on his left
Right.
shoulder. Marty knows what that means.
I can see it.
That means he went 500 times the speed of sound, or 17,500 miles an
500
hour.
miles an hour.
And
Correct.
that patch, by the way, is a $500 patch all day long.
Really?
Oh, yeah, it certainly is. So 1995 was 13. Okay, so this does tie. Thanks for researching that, gang.
That's
Marty,
cool.
put it on the Google
So 13 is ties a record up there.
That's neat.
And that's why we're talking about it. Hey, it's not every day that you got 13 humans orbiting Earth, and you just had 4 go suborbital, including a 90-year-old man. Whether he was a famous person or not, man, he still did it.
Yeah.
But here's our heroes. We got 4 Americans there. 4 Americans, 2 Russians, and a Frenchman and a Japanese astronaut make up the Expedition 65 up there right now. These 7 astronauts, left to right, Piotr Deprov, Shane Kimbrough, you know Shane there.
Yeah, my buddy Shane.
Your Megan MacArthur.
Yeah.
And Thomas Pisquet is beside her. And then you got Akao Ashadi was the commander for a while, and I think he handed that off to forget who. But the flight engineers Oleg Novinsky and Mark Vandehey there.
Right.
And I know Megan and Shane and are coming back.
Right.
I think Mark Vandehey is going to stay up there for an extra tour of duty. But at the end of the month, we're going to send up October 30th, the next Crew Dragon 3
Right.
to swap out and become Expedition 65. And 3 or 4 of those astronauts will be coming back. And we'll have 4 new crew members up there.
That's way cool.
Keeping our space station recruited with fresh new astronauts, and we're not paying the Russians $70 million a seat to do it. We're paying an American, Elon Musk,
Oh, man.
money to do it. So,
You
but
know,
that's all right. Here on American soil, just 10 miles away
Yeah.
from where we're sitting,
Yeah.
is
You
where
know,
the next crew's going to be launched.
Shane's grandpa had Orange Grove not too far from us right here.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. His grandpa, he used to pick oranges out there in Orange Grove with him.
Yeah, that's something I'm a latecomer here in the coast because I remember taking vacations down here
Yeah.
and seeing the orange groves,
Yeah.
but it's no more. And I understand one of the reasons is the younger generation didn't want to perpetuate it.
Yeah.
One, it's hard work, and 2,
Yeah.
it's a very risky work. Any agriculture is. You could have a hurricane
Weather.
wipe you out,
Yeah.
or whatever down here.
Bugs.
So 13 people, human beings in space. That's why we wanted to show you their
That's pretty
pictures.
cool.
They're just not astronauts and cosmonauts and tachionauts. They are real people with real bank accounts, real
Oh, yeah.
families, and so forth here on Earth. And what this is all about, and I'm going to paraphrase our artist friend Tim Gagnon, had a little post on Facebook where he had all of the astronaut wings and a picture of them
Oh, yeah,
that
I
are given
think I
out
saw
by the
that.
different things. There's even a military astronaut wings. But Tim's point was, why are we bickering over who's an astronaut and who's not? Isn't this what we wanted all along?
Yeah.
Is everybody can go to space.
Yeah.
I'm not going to live long enough to see that, but
I'll never
our
make that.
grandchildren might for
Yeah.
sure.
Maybe, yeah, good.
Like coming up with the money to fly across country or Europe, whatever. You can go up and visit the Bezos Hilton orbiting the Earth or orbiting the moon. So that's what we want here.
Shatner said everybody needs to experience this.
Yes, Jessica's saying that was, and she's Trekkie Techie, you know. So she hadn't come down from the cloud yet. But that was his first words: is everybody needs to experience this. And what he talked about was that blue of the Earth was like a sheet pulled over him to black, just in an instant.
Wow.
And he kind of contemplated: is that what death was like? Just from like a sheet pulling over you.
Lights go out.
Well, we've got a couple other astronauts before we get into a couple personal stories of Triple T here. And the next thing we want to talk about is where it all started. That's right. We were talking about the wonders of the space age. As I block myself out, Frau und Mond, that in Germany means Woman of the Moon, premiered as a silent movie this date in 1929, 92 years ago. The great director, Fritz Lang, who you all know for the movie Metropolis. All right. He was the one that did this movie, and it was unbelievably groundbreaking, much like you'd think of Star Wars and its cheesy effects that everyone went crazy over. That's just so easily duplicated now. But this guy had the first countdown from 10, 9, 8, so forth.
Wow.
Oberth, who was a great German scientist that worked on the V2 rockets, Oberth,
Right.
he was a consultant on this, and he come up with images like this, not like that, like this, for his set. Look at that rocket
Looks
on
like a
The
launch
Woman in the
pad.
Moon, a silent movie, 1929.
Pretty darn accurate.
Very accurate. The 1098. What was not so accurate, though, was on the moon. They didn't need spacesuits or helmets. All right. And in 1929, it was understood that there wasn't any atmosphere on the moon, but not to Franz Franz Lang.
Yeah.
He was known as the Master of Darkness, and he, like I said, created the 10-9-8-3-2-1 blast off.
Amazing.
No engineer did that. Okay?
He had the whole
a movie
concept,
director
too.
did that. And like I said,
Yeah.
German rocket scientist Hermann Oberth was hired to create a flying model of the rocket. And when the Nazis began working on war rockets, all right, this is 1929, right? World War I, not World War II. When the Nazis were building on war rockets, they decided the movie's rockets were too close to the truth, and they had the models destroyed and the film withdrawn from release. All right. It also depicted for the first time the use of a liquid rocket fuel, a rocket with two-stage engines, and zero gravity in space. All right. And
Pretty cool.
also, they had to have a little cheesecake up there on the moon, obviously. It's 1929, after all. So, making a movie. And I love that because, would you believe it? Marty's told me this, that NASA's engineers argued whether to even take cameras on the moon on the first
I'll be damned.
landings. Right, Marty?
NASA did not want to take cameras.
NASA did not want to take cameras because it's too much weight.
Right.
So what did they take? Tom and Mark Usiak, watching from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. They didn't take a little Pentax or Rolodex. No, they took a big Hasselblad.
Oh, they
the
did.
best cameras in the world. Yeah, the best lenses. But yes, imagine that they didn't even think we would take. Well, we'll take pictures later.
The photographer had actually talked NASA into doing it.
Marty says a photographer actually talked NASA into doing it, and
Please take the camera.
which is just amazing. So we celebrate this movie 92 years ago that
That's
really
amazing.
launched the whole concept of going to the moon and back. And we're going to throw up our little birthday banner there now, and one of your friends,
Yeah.
Dr. James Newman.
Newman.
Jim Newman. There's a Newman everywhere, right, if you're a Steinfeld fan. But this is no a weirdo Newman. This is a 4 space flight,
Yeah.
6-time spacewalker, and one of your friends,
Yeah.
right?
Jim's cool guy, very cool guy. He's the guy an astronaut, you just know it when he walks in the room.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
He looks tall. He's
is.
66 years old today.
God bless you. Happy birthday.
No, actually, he's. I take it back. He's
Tomorrow.
65.
Oh.
He's 65 tomorrow. We wanted to celebrate 3 birthdays over the weekend, all right?
Right.
Because we hate missing these birthdays over the weekend. Newman was born October 16th, 1956, in the Trust Territory of the Pacific Islands, now called the Federated States of Micronesia. His dad must have been in the military,
That's what I'm
like you
thinking.
said. Or, well, his mom had the baby, so she had to be there, right? But he considers Pacific Grove, California to be his hometown.
Right.
And he was on STS 51 in 93, 69 in 1995, 88 in 98, where he performed 3 spacewalks, mating Unity and Zarya modules. So he was up there with Bob Cabana, was 88. Where's the scroll? I've got to fetch my scroll here real quickly. 88 was Bob Cabana.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure our former center director. They're not in order, you know. Which Cabana, Strutkow was the pilot, and I thought Krikalev, the Russian, was up there with Newman, and Curie, a lady, was up there with Jerry Ross.
And Jerry
up there. Jerry was on his. What flight was it for Jerry on the scroll? That was Jerry's 6th flight. All right.
He was pretty much
of
the
7. So
construction man.
we'll put the scroll away there. Our shuttle scroll. Thank you,
Cool.
Jessica. Got our prop department to put that together
The
for me
prop
there.
department.
All right. But really, happy birthday, Jim Newman. You represent what you astronauts are all about out in the communities, giving it away, telling your experience and so forth out there. And hope he's having a good time. 43 days in space and 43 hours of spacewalks.
Wow.
I wonder if he's a Richard Petty fan,
Yeah.
whose car was number 43,
Yeah, 43,
right,
yeah.
fans? All right, and Sunday we've got 2 other special birthdays. This man, Bill Anders, is 88. Happy 88th birthday to Bill Anders. His one and only space flight was the lunar orbit of Apollo 8 in 1968 when he flew to the moon with Frank Borman and Jim Lovell. They are both alive at age 93. This is one of the, I think, 3 crews of NASA that they're all still alive.
Wow.
Borman and Lovell also count for Gemini 7. They flew together. They're 93. Anders is the young guy at 88. And he never flew again. Lovell, of course, was going to be walking on the moon. He's commander of Apollo 13. Borman retired. All right, but I always wonder why Anders never flew again. He was technically the lunar module pilot, Marty, though there wasn't a lunar module on Apollo 8, and he would have logically cycled 3 missions later in Apollo 11, because that was how they did it. You were a backup, he was, and then you would be the prime crew for the next flight there. So, anyway, great guy. He's out there in the world enjoying an 88th birthday on Sunday, and also a Sunday birthday is Mae Jemison, the first female African American to go to space. Her only mission was in 1987, STS 92. I mean, she became an astronaut in 87. She was born in Decatur, Alabama.
Go girl.
And forgot to mention that Bill Anders was born in British Hong Kong. And he spent a lot of time in a military family. Cool. But Mae Jemison, she has a doctorate degree from Cornell Medical School.
Yeah, she was a doc.
And so tell us a little bit about her.
I was putting her in. I happened to be a number 5 on that launch. This was her only launch. I was number 5, and while the astronauts are waiting to go in, because you can only put 2 in at a time. So she was the last to go in. She and I are standing out on the 195-foot level. The sun is coming up. It's gorgeous watching the sun come up. I turned and looked at her, and I don't know if it was her skin pigment or the orange suit, but the sun coming, her face, she's glowing orange. I turned and looked at her, and at the time I said, "Ma'am, I'm happily married, but I got to tell you, you are beautiful." And I think I made her blush, but I learned right then you don't ever tell astronauts that. So.
Yeah. But you didn't get a reprimand or
Well, it was just she and I. So
yeah, that's
unless
cool.
She still remembers. All I'm saying, I'm sorry and happy birthday.
And she's 65, and
she's
of course
still
she's a great person, and of course represents the African American community, inspiring the STEAM education in youth.
Yeah.
We hope to get her in here someday.
I'd love to, yeah.
Because I think she's in Florida area quite a bit. Born in Decatur, Alabama, like we said. So she was also she's written several books for children.
Yeah.
And appeared several times on television, including an episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
How about that?
So good for her.
Seen that one yet.
You haven't seen
to-
that?
yeah.
All right. Happy birthday, our
Cool.
Earth there. Well, let's get to you,
That's
Triple
cool.
T.
All right.
And a couple things. We're going to move that in front of here so we can have Jessica be the cameraman as Marty's doing the hard work there behind the computer. This is your astronaut closeout crew patch there.
Right.
And what I have behind here is something that, well, let me read it real quick. Launch Operation Stellar Award, June 2006, ARM Project, Travis T. Thompson. So what is the ARM Project, and why'd you get this little piece of glory for your wall?
Well, remember STS-1, we lost three aft technicians inside the aft compartment of the shuttle.
All right, briefly,
They-
3 men died of lack of
It
oxygen
was
because
purged
of the
with GN2, yeah.
purged with what?
GN2, gaseous nitrogen.
Gaseous nitrogen, right? And this was
You can't
a
breathe it.
horrible tragedy,
Yes.
but lessons learned.
Right.
And these gentlemen are immortalized, by the way, at our Spaceview Park over
Correct.
here on our memorial.
So after that accident, and I helped design it, but we got together with engineers and we made an aft rescue kit that we had an aft rescue locker right there on the 135 level at the pad. And you'd open this locker up and you'd have to set up this real quick tripod thing, and you could actually put a hook on it. It was the only thing in the state of Florida that you could legally use a motor to lift a body out of something. Everywhere else you see fire rescue has to use pulleys and ropes, but this was a mechanical air-driven winch, and so you'd go inside the ship with all your air gear on, and you would put this stuff on and hook it all up. Then you'd hook the winch up and you'd go down, rescue whoever. Well, nobody knew how to work that equipment. There was no place for it. So I was walking through the VAB one day and I saw this big platform thing, a box, and I thought, I could use the aft rescue equipment. I could show the fire rescue how to do this. So I took it, me and a couple of my buddies, Tim Seymour, we snatched this thing out of the floor of the VAB. Had no idea what it was or whose it was. And I used the aft platforms that are inside the ship, and I put the aft rescue stuff. So I would bring groups and groups of fire rescue. Anybody that worked in the aft, I wanted them to know how to work this equipment. So this was called the Aft Rescue Mock-Up, and they gave me an award
Awesome.
for it.
And we don't have a shuttle mock-up in front of us, but those unfamiliar with the term aft,
Is it
that is
engine
the-
compartment?
that is the rear end
Right.
of any vehicle that's called aft.
Correct.
You've got the forward section where the crew is, correct?
Correct.
And then
Mid.
the mid deck is what you call the
Mid-body.
Mid-body. Okay.
Mid-body.
And show us your Rockwell thing over there.
Okay, cool. This is cool. We lived in boxcars.
Here, just
Too
here.
low. Okay, I'll hold.
Here, I'll hold that up for you.
It says Rockwell International forward section.
Now you lived in boxcars. You weren't
Boxcars.
hobos, were
Yeah,
you?
well, they took boxcars.
Trailers
and put 'em
for
side by
sailor rent.
side. They opened it up. So all these boxcars, this was our shop. So the first boxcars you walked in was the forward shop. They had a mid shop and an aft shop, and then GSE, ground equipment.
Mm-hmm.
So they were tearing these boxcars down. I was the last person to leave the shop before the construction guys came in to tear it down, and I saw this hanging that had been there since day one. So I just reached up and snatched it, and there it is.
It's got some fishing hook
Yeah, well,
lures
It
things
just hung
on there.
from
Yeah.
the ceiling, It said there was a forward, a mid, and an aft, but it's Rockwell International.
I would have took the aft.
That and his certificate.
I'm forward.
That and a piece of paper of certificate of authorization or
Yeah.
authentication, and
Authenticity.
that'll be in the.
Chuck.
I'll
We'll be
auction it.
selling that in the auction for $150
That'll
maybe.
work.
Well,
need
cool.
to
We
eat.
love. We're talking with Triple T, Travis Thompson, and he is part of our oral histories that we do once a week on Tales from the White Room, and we're going to bring you a lot more oral histories, thanks to the Marie Louise G. West Endowment. And we've got Wednesday. We're going to have an interview with a gentleman that worked on decontaminating the Hubble telescope.
Oh, okay.
And then in 2 weeks, a week from Wednesday, we're going to have two VIA space engineers here
Good.
talking. And we're lining them up. We kind of pumped the brakes a little bit because of the COVID situation and not wanting people to get their nose bent out that we're talking to people face to face. But we're all vaccinated and doing good. And we do wear masks in our museum around our guests because we do have a lot of children in here and a lot of older people. So we do wear masks in our museum, but we're just grateful to have all kinds of people wanting to be on our Stay Curious program. Let's look at a couple throwback pictures here. Though it's not Throwback Thursday, Throwback Friday. Look at that handsome man.
How about that?
Isn't it strange how this hair goes from mine was jet black, my mustache. Yours is lightened up a little bit there,
It's
Triple
getting there, a
T.
little
I
thinner.
had a picture of you, Mark. I didn't believe that was
So this is about 1980.
Probably 80,
Yeah.
81.
And where you at and what you doing?
I am sitting. This is in the OPF Orbiter Processing Facility.
The garage.
Bay 1
Okay.
garage. It is Columbia. I can tell by the floor. I can see where
Why
the,
can you tell by the floor? The
See, it's
floor is
green.
actually on the wall behind you there.
Yeah, that's the floor, the mid deck.
Okay.
And that other thing right over
Well, how can
my
you tell it's
shoulder-
Columbia? Because
Well,
the tape there or
on the
something?
tape, the paint is ripped off. If you look,
Uh-huh.
we used
Upper left.
we
you're
used to
talking about.
tape stuff down a lot. You can see this area right here.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And we tape stuff down, pull the tape up, rip the paint off. So that's Columbia. I could just tell by looking at it. And that thing over my shoulder is actually the treadmill. That's what they would exercise.
I want space.
Oh, that's the exercise treadmill in the
Yeah.
mid deck.
Yeah.
Okay.
You
And
see-
there would be 1 to 3 astronauts always strapped down in the mid deck. You
Yeah,
never have
there's-
4. You bring back 4.
I could
or
have
5.
4 on the mid deck, 4 on the flight deck. We use
One
that
flight, I
recumbent-
think you had 8.
recumbent
I think
seat.
you had one flight. You had
Yeah,
8
that
going
was that
up.
recumbent seat that he basically put his feet in the locker and sat on this little web chair.
We have that too.
Yeah,
that
we
Norm
have that
Thagard
chair.
wore here.
Yeah.
It just looks like a lawn chair.
Look at the big square by my head, that thing, and it's got like a white strap. You know
Uh-huh.
what that is? That's made out of duct tape. It's a strap, and it's taped to the floor.
Right
Yeah,
there.
right there.
Uh-huh.
It's taped to the floor, and what you do is while you're 0G, you slide your feet in there, and that holds you where you want to be.
Oh, really? So it's a
then
little,
they
little
could-
foot strap right
yeah,
there.
it's a foot strap right
Very
there.
professional.
Okay.
A+ for
He-
tape use.
So,
All right.
I mean, we use duct tape. I wished when I hired in 1979, there's 2 things I would have invested in.
What's that? Triple
Duct
T?
tape and Velcro.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and I think Alan, was it Bean that said when we ever go back to the moon again, better take duct tape. So that's my commercial.
And they did. They
for you.
actually fixed a
Yeah.
fender on Apollo 17
Yeah.
with duct tape, right, Marty? The fender fell off on Cernan and Schmidt and
Right.
spewed like you're on a bike
Yeah.
in the wet rain
That looked cool.
without a fender on the
Yeah,
rear.
that
And
looked
you get
really
that
cool.
skunk stripe up your back.
You
That's
could
what they
see
were
the
doing.
wheel turn. You could actually, if you look real close, the tread, you could see it was throwing up dirt in just like coming off of that tread. It
Yeah.
looked like the tire. The
Apollo
pictures I saw,
17
It
we're
was
talking
really
about
cool
there.
looking pictures.
Well, here's Travis talks about the numbers and the numbering system, and we go over this a lot, and you can't go over this too much. That there's 7 closeout crew members. All right. Number 1 is the lead, that is the boss of everybody,
Right.
and then tell us, and you were that.
Right.
All right. And if you're not number 1, then you had 3 people out of your shop that you were in control of, yourself and 2 other people, and they were numbers what?
4 and 5.
4 and 5. And then number 2 was always
An astronaut.
all right.
Because launch day, only a NASA astronaut could flip switches on the ship.
And they were usually inside the cabin, and you don't
Correct.
see many twos out in
Not
the
a lot of
white room walking
shots.
around. Yeah.
He's assisting the number 3 and the 7, who are suit techs. The number 3 and the number 2 insert everybody on the flight deck.
Mm-hmm.
Number 7 inserts everybody on the mid deck. So when I've
Flight deck is where the commander and the pilot are,
Right.
and 2 people sitting behind
and
them
the mid deck's
helping them
the
with
lower
checklists.
underneath,
Yeah.
and as a 4 and a 5, I could go in and help strap in also.
Mm-hmm.
But the 7 and the 3, that primarily that's their job.
Inside that cabin, I love the smells and
Yeah.
sounds that you can't get, of
I
course.
wish
on,
I could hear that again.
what would you be hearing?
Just air flowing, the computer's running, noise. I have tinnitus, my ears ring because I listened to all that loud stuff for years. We had hydraulics inside.
That's
the
rock and roll
OPS.
music, Travis. We're
Yeah,
talking
maybe.
about Space Shuttle,
Plus
buddy.
I
not-
hunted, but lightning strikes. But I would get in there and you could hear just every machine is whirling and turning,
Uh-huh.
and it's a unique.
And was there any
sound.
smell that was predominant, like a new car
Clean
smell? Type
alcohol? Because everybody, we were wiping stuff.
Of thing? Oh,
down.
okay.
It
So
was
well, that makes
clean.
sense. So like isopropyl alcohol.
And we were supposed to be a class 100 clean room in that white room, and the ship's supposed to be clean to a class A 100.
What is that? A government
It's
classification?
a level of cleanliness.
Uh-huh.
It's not quite operating room
Oh, okay.
clean, but it's
All but.
pretty dang close.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay. So almost an
close.
operating room type of
Right.
situation. Well, here we are with you again. That's you as a skinny 5. This
number
is
5.
the 80s for sure.
Yeah.
Because after he got
That's
bumped up
lucky.
to higher up there, he started eating them good meals and not those snacks at the KDI.
Might have been a beer or two in there too. That's my buddy Steve Crosby, who's passed the number 1, taught me
Oh.
how to do it. Man, I have had a lot of fun with Steve. Me and him had good times.
Now, why, Travis, tell us how we can look at this and we know that this was after January 1986.
Because of the pumpkin suit.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were flying the blue
Flight
jumpsuit. Yeah, basically a motorcycle helmet. Wasn't a lot of protection. The pumpkin suit, when you put that pumpkin suit on launch day, that's 60 pounds of
Wow.
gear. The suit, boots, helmet, all the stuff you're carrying, that's 60 pounds.
And Travis, you said that you had your crew members put that on. Now, well, just to clarify, the first 4 shuttles were test flights, and
Right.
the 2 astronauts did wear space suits.
Yeah, kind
in
of like a
ejection
SR-71, XR.
Yeah, like a high performance plane. And then from 5 till, of course, the Challenger STS-51L,
Right.
the 25th flight. When we lost that, we went back to these spacesuits so they
Right.
could at least have a chance to get out of the spaceship and be found in the ocean or
And
something
they had
like
breathing air, communication and
that.
comfort.
What did it feel like? A lot of things rubbing on your body
Oh, yeah.
inside?
Well, you're wearing this thing that's heavy.
Uh-huh.
The coolest thing I liked was the underwear. There's little tubes that run or sewn into the underwear, and you've seen these pictures where I have a suit cooler. They're hooked up to air.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Well, their underwear has water running through these tubes.
Water-cooled underwear.
Water cooled underwear, and it's cool because that way it keeps your body from overheating when you're wearing. This does not have ventilation. You get hot, and it's hard. And I wanted my guys to understand what it took to wear it, and
Good. That's very interesting.
So and
And
everybody did a
once
good
again,
job.
did each astronaut get their own suit?
They have different suits, and it's just what size fits you. And
So
Yeah.
it was. They did not have a specialized suit like
No,
the
it-
Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo. They had a
yeah.
small, medium, and large
They
kind of.
take
Right?
them, and they take them back and clean them. There's people, that's all they do, get them ready for the next flight.
We have in our museum a suit that was flown 6 times.
Yeah.
Where we do know that for sure in the NASA
Yeah.
paperwork. We're
They
not
keep
sure
reusing
which
them.
flights though.
Yeah.
We'd love to find that out someday, and we've actually looked in it to try to figure
Right.
out what some of the numberings mean on it there. Let's go
And
back
my number
to
6 was always the NASA quality.
NASA quality. Well, here's a picture I dug
Isn't
up,
that
a good old
cool?
throwback memory for
Yeah.
you, Travis. Tell us what we're looking at here. 3 days before the final launch of the final orbiter Atlantis, and way in the back you can see the gantry
Yeah,
of one
Pad
of the
A.
Pad A. What are we looking at here?
So where
Triple
we're
T?
at here, it's called AB4 roadblock. And so that's the road that you could either stop at that road and you could turn left and go to Pad B, or you keep going straight to Pad A, and there's normally a guard shack there, and he would check your badge. But what's happening here is fire rescue is in the M113 tanks, those yellow things. They are parked there for the launch. So we stopped by and took a picture with them on the lot. You know, and it was cool because
Who took the picture?
one of my guys. I
mean,
don't know.
I'm wondering if NASA
Oh,
people
actually,
are always bird dogging.
No,
here or
this was
something.
one of the firemen took it. I
Okay.
remember now.
Well, there you've got left to right. You got a number 2.
Yeah.
And that would be the astronaut. There's
Yeah.
always a 2. So which astronaut's that?
It looks like Randy Bresnick. I
Yep,
think.
Randy Bresnick there. And Triple T's right in the middle next to the
Yeah.
gentleman with the black the black shirt. You remember the guy in the black?
Yeah,
there?
that's David Seymour. He's the
see.
fire chief.
There. Oh, he's the
Yeah,
fire
he's
chief,
the
and you're
fire
right
chief.
there beside him, right there.
Yeah, right.
So I'm going to enlarge that again so people can.
Actually, yeah, David is the assistant fire chief, and the fire chief was George Hoggard, who worked the Apollo program and the Shuttle program.
Yeah, I've seen
The
his
only
name.
guy I've known that has 2 Snoopies.
Oh, really? 2
Yeah,
Snoopy.
he got a Snoopy from the
right.
Apollo program and one from the Shuttle.
Wow.
So we just stop, say hi. These guys are my lifeline. This is who I support. They will come and get me if I get in trouble. So these are my friends, you know. And
Well, talking about in trouble on the shuttle pad.
Yeah.
These are the ones that are going to save your
They're
life
gonna
or
come rescue
astronauts'
me.
lives.
Right.
So, and there's some serious training that you do on Su-7?
Su-17 is the most training.
Okay.
Su-17.
SOOOO-17 is
Yes,
code
yeah.
word for your training
And
manual.
launch was Su-7, 0007. S0007.
And every astronaut has to learn how to drive that tank
Yeah.
on the right there.
Yeah.
And
man.
so that,
A
but
lot
then,
of fun, too.
but 80% of the time these astronauts train in Houston.
Yeah.
So when they come to Kennedy Space Center, it's like they're going to Disneyland,
Yeah.
right? There's dangerous things involving their life situation, but
Yeah.
you're riding in a tank, you're jumping in a basket, going down a slide
Yeah,
wire,
slide wire
you're
basket.
you're training how to get in
We're
and
going
out.
to have to do a thing on that one day because that was a lot of fun. And
Yeah,
we
we will.
I was made to certify all of these astronauts too. That's why I got to know them closer than
Mhm.
launch day because they were on my team, stuff like that.
We need to get your Cape Crusader Bolden
Yeah,
here.
no, I'd
Your
love
good buddy
to.
Bolden on our show
He was
here.
my first astronaut to deal with anything. I was young number 5, like
Mm-hmm.
that picture, and Charlie Bolden was the first asp that I started working
And
with.
tell us what that is when you're working with them. That Houston assigns an astronaut here
Right.
for a year or something, right?
A year.
So that they can go and tell their other astronaut
Yeah.
class
Well,
what's going on.
and they are assigned to support the shuttle program. So part of that is the closeout crew, so they would be on the closeout crew.
Mhm.
But they also have to sign off. Anytime you do a special mod for the ship, an astronaut has to sign off on it. So there's all kinds of things that they do. They were called Cape Crusaders. So they were assigned. They lived
Cape
in Houston.
Crusaders.
They'd get assigned to here. C-squares.
Okay, C
Cape
squared.
Crusaders.
Your T cubed,
Yeah.
and they were T squared.
Yeah.
Eileen Collins was a Cape Crusader,
she
was she
was,
not?
yeah.
And she has a new book out by our friend Jonathan Ward. They've shipping books out. Had a nice little signing. I've seen. Thank you, Jonathan,
Yeah.
for being here. We hope to have a book signing with her here on the Space Coast
Eileen's
someday.
cool.
but,
Yeah, you love her. You love to meet Eileen.
Yeah, she's very, very down to earth lady. You probably meet her in a grocery store and
I
not
wouldn't
know
know
that she
it.
was the first female pilot and then the commander of a
You'd
spaceship.
expect her to be teaching your Sunday school class.
Absolutely, but
She landed the shuttle better than anybody, male or female. She still has that record.
that's cool.
I know
Eileen
some
Collins.
F-15 pilots, so that kind of rubs her off.
I hope that's in. Hope that's in her book there. Well, that's what we had there for
Cool.
some of your throwback days.
Yeah.
There, we never really rehearse too much about what we're going to talk about,
Yeah.
but it always comes out pretty good. Some wonderful
Yep.
tales from the White Room that you're only going to hear from this guy, Travis Thompson. Like I said, I'm on the sidelines, and Marty and Travis are the ones that made space history, and Jessica and I are here to record it and preserve it
I
because
appreciate it.
that's what our museum is all about, is preserving the birth of the space age that started right here in the delivery room of Brevard County, right here. No
Right.
other place in the world can claim
No.
that they've sent humans to the moon
No.
or built a space station by the rockets that have
From
launched here just 9 miles away from us. So,
Correct.
well, speaking of that, we are going to have a launch at about 5:34 in the morning. It is an Atlas rocket that's going to send Lucy, and not the Charlie Brown's girlfriend Lucy. Okay, it's going to be Lucy is a space probe going to the asteroids that are in front of and behind the orbit of Jupiter. Very important mission for learning about the birth of the space solar system and how it all started. And the
Right.
Lucy name comes from the 1970s humanoid that was found in Africa called
Yeah,
Lucy,
that's
that
where-
was said to be
okay.
3 million years old, and
I
like was Marty and I, and you probably remember, that was like news all the time. This Lucy, that it really tied the ape humanoids to humanoids type
right.
of thing. That's why it's called Lucy. It's not an acronym. And 5:34 in the morning, set your alarm, get out
Cool.
on the beaches and
I'll
watch
be
it go
awake.
up. You'll be awake.
I'm always awake.
Little rattle.
5 o'clock.
So, well, we got that to look forward to. And then October 30th at something like 2:30 in the morning is the next launch of Crew Dragon 3
Dragon.
going up to
I
the
wanna
space
see that.
station. And then they'll be bringing back the Crew 2 probably that first week of November.
Yeah.
So a lot happening at our Space Coast, and we will keep you on top of it here, as always, with Stay Curious. So thank you, Travis, for another great show.
It was
Appreciate
good.
you being
Enjoyed
here.
it.
You're looking good. His health
Feeling
crisis
better.
is over.
Yeah.
He lost a little weight, but that just means he can eat ice cream.
Yeah, that's what I've
And,
been doing too.
That's good. Well, we are so grateful for y'all out there on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Please tell your friends that we've got a nice little program here for you every weekday at 4 o'clock,
Yep.
or you can watch the reruns. We're pushing 400 episodes.
Wow.
I've lost track. I don't even look
Yeah.
back at it. We'll figure it out one day, but
Pretty cool.
it's only because of you out there wanting to stay curious. So until next week, on behalf of Travis and Marty and Jessica and our whole staff here at the American Space Museum, I'm Mark Marquette, and we want to see you in our museum to what? Bridge the space between us.
Come see me.